All right then, so we'll just run through our meeting rules, and these are the same for all of the sessions. So we are recording this and it will be shared to the public at a later date. And poor Adrian's probably going to get another 3 or 4 days with no sleep while he puts that together. And we'd like you to mute yourself, but feel free to use the chat window and to ask questions there. Ivan will be attempting to keep up with your questions and trying to consolidate some for later on if we have time. If we don't have time, we'll answer the questions in a Connect post. We'd love you to keep your camera turned on to see your friendly smiles, unless, of course, you're not comfortable with that, in which case you're welcome to turn them off. And if you're on mobile, if you could keep your phone on landscape, that would be very helpful for the later video production.
Yes, and of course, before we start, since this is photography, why not to take a photograph all together, of course. Justin, here my selfie stick is ready. So I will stop sharing the presentation for a while because I need the full screen on my side. So guys, I will remove my headset, but I'm not going away because I'm going next to my selfie stick, which is here, because that's a real selfie. So if you can hear me, please guys, smile. Because I'm now next to the selfie stick. You don't see me, but I'm next to the selfie stick. So let's wait that everybody is loading, because it takes a while that everybody gets loaded in the picture. I'm seeing that. Few more are coming. Okay. Smile, everybody. Scatter.
Hi.
Scatter. I think it's, wait. Again, smile. Scatter.
Again.
It doesn't take my voice. Another one, you know, selfie, smile. Another one. Okay. Let's check.
Thank you. I think it's already.
We got it, yeah.
Yay!
As you know me, we need to take a real selfie, even if we are virtual, so...
Yep. Luigi is the selfie king.
Okay, let's share again. Oops.
Somehow we're managing to find a miracle of being on time still.
Yes. So, here we are.
Oh, if everybody could mute now, with the exception of Luigi and Ivan, please, that would be good.
Okay. Here we are back. You see the presentation, Paul, right?
I do indeed. And
yes.
I'd better keep up with it over here so I can actually see the session notes, huh? All right then. So we're going to introduce ourselves. So I'll start. My name's Paul Pavlinovich and I'm from Melbourne in Australia. I'm a level 10 local guide, and I've been in local guides since just after it changed from City Explorers. So I wasn't in City Explorers, but I was there a couple of days later. And
so
Luigi.
That's me. My name is Luigi Zuro. I'm from Italy, and I'm level 8 local guide, living in Tuscany. So if you know where the beautiful Tuscany of Italy, and as you may have understood, and for the people who knows me, I'm a fanatic of group selfies. So even if we are not able to be together, we can manage that as well in virtual. So thank you very much.
Yep. Every now and again at Connect Live, we'd hear selfie.
Thank you.
And Ivan, please.
Hey everyone, I'm Ivan Yudi. I currently live in US, in San Francisco Bay Area, actually. So 30 minutes away from the Google headquarters. I'm a level 8 local guides, and it's probably gonna stay that for a while. And I've been a local guide since the program was not called Local Guide. So I started from City Expert. And yeah, here I am. So
And good correction,
Okay.
Ivan, because I think I called it City Explorers, didn't I? Tracy's
Either
never
way.
going to forgive me.
Then we go on with the agenda today. So today we are going to have a look at a very nice feature, which is that anyone can share now their work with StreetView, but we will see a little bit more in details later on. Then we have a few mobile photography tips to share with you, and of course with the question time, so open to any questions you should have on those topics or even on other photography topics as well.
Okay then, so you may have noticed an announcement from the Google blog and also on Connect that there's now a new way to make Street View. And I personally find this pretty exciting. It's easy for anybody to contribute now. You don't need a special camera. You just need a suitable phone that can run AR Core 2 on Android. And I can see that someone's holding up their phone there and showing us that they've already done some. Well done. Next slide, please. So I'll just talk you through this. I'm using the StreetView app, which you can download from the Google Play Store. I'm recording a bike path here by riding my bike along. So we've started recording the video, and you can see in the little map up the top that the little blue dot's just following me. And what we're actually doing is creating one of the new blue lines here. And this creates a new kind of dotted blue line. So this bike path is pretty close to me at home. So we're just doing this little segment and then it stops. And then one really important thing to remember is because your phone only faces forwards, it's a really good idea to do a second one back the way you just came. So no matter which way someone's going down the path, they'll see images that are oriented correctly for the direction that they're traveling virtually. Fortunately, this is a quick little path, so we don't have to watch this for very long.
But wondering if people were seeing you going up and down.
Oh, I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were. And you might have noticed that I stopped then when the people appeared, because we try and avoid people in Street View. It's actually really hard to do, but we try to. Next slide, please.
And here we have on the publishing option. So once you record that blue lines, as we have seen from the video from Paul, this is the dialogue on the StreetView app where you can see your recorded video. So you just have to tap on profile, which is on the lower bottom bar of the app. You can see bottom right, there's a profile icon. You push on that icon, then you get all the published, unpublished, and under processing videos. And here you can select which video you would like to publish, and you will get a publish button, as you can see on the second tile on the preview, and then the video gets uploaded. But be aware that this is a very big video, so we are talking about gigs of data, so don't do that on mobile data, because this can really take up your mobile data plan. And when it's uploading correctly, then it gets processed. Normally it's quite fast, and then it goes, it gets approved. And this is where it gets uploaded. So we can see on the map that as soon as the video has been published, you can see a blue line on the map. You can see this blue line over here. So this is the video which has been accepted and showing. And then after a little bit of time, which gets processed by the StreetView team, then this video will also appear inside actually StreetView and be visible for everyone else.
Just before we hit play on this one. Oh, well, just
sorry.
let it go. That's all right. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, okay.
One question popped up that I will actually answer now. It only popped up very briefly, and what I think I saw was, can we record the video on a normal camera and upload it via phone? I just wanted to address that one quickly, because the answer is no, because while you're actually recording the video, the StreetView app is using AR Core to scan the area around you so that it understands your position in space. So it actually understands where you are and what you're doing, which way you're facing, and things like that. So it wouldn't be able to do that if you did it from a normal video. So what we saw just played then is what the new Street View looks like. Naturally enough, because you're using portrait mode with your phone, so you're holding it up that way, you see a portrait mode picture. So it's not quite like the old Street View. It's not as good as the traditional 360 one, but when you compare it to somewhere that's got nothing, it's absolutely amazing. So if we move on to the next slide.
And here we are. So, yeah, we would like to introduce something very nice and exciting. So, wondering if those 3 people on the screen knows about that. And I would like to introduce the panel. So we have Denise Barlock from United States of America. Hello, Denise. It's here in the session. You can see with the beautiful RV in the background of East Texas, where she is right now. Then we have Falguni Paleja from India. Hello, Falguni. Where is you? I don't see you, so maybe somewhere on the tiles.
Hello.
Here we are.
Yay.
And Justine Edwards from Australia, from Queensland, right? If I'm not wrong. Yes, correct. So we have those 3 local guides. We would like to do something nice with those 3 local guides, and we will see on the next slide.
Just before we get into the question, would you guys like to introduce yourselves? Perhaps we'll go with Justine first.
Hi everyone, my name is Justine and I'm a level 8 local guide from Queensland, Australia.
And Falguni.
Hi everyone, I'm Falguni, a level 8 local guide from India. Hello.
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 And definitely last but not least, my favorite musical chairs player, Denise.
Hello, this is Denise Barlock, and I live in the United States. And I tell you where, but it depends on what month it is. So we're currently in Texas, and we travel the country and photograph everywhere we go.
Denise is kind of like a turtle. She carries her home around with her everywhere. Okay, if we go on to the first questions. So the idea we had was to have a little bit of a panel discussion just to try and get a feeling for about these new features, but it's difficult to involve this number of people. So we invited a panel and they'll help balance out our other panel of myself and Luigi and Ivan. So first up, now that you've seen a little bit of it, what do you think of this new feature? So any of you can go.
Well, I want to say that I initially started with this feature because I figured I'm so many places all the time that don't have Street View. I was very excited about it. I used it a lot, but it was making my phone hot. So
That does happen with some people, yeah.
and to the point that my phone would turn off. So and especially I wanted to do it when we were traveling from city to city with the RV, you know, being able to get new areas. So I have actually stopped using it, and I'm very excited to hear you bring it up again because I'm going to give it another shot. I even bought a special thing to go in the window of our Jeep to start, you know, I wanted to do it for all the off-roads and the Jeeping that we did. And that was one of the areas that I wanted to focus on. So I'm going to give it another shot, and I'm hoping it's not going to make my phone hot.
Yeah, I've found that if you stay under about 25 kilometers an hour, which is near enough to 15 for you, then your phone won't get hot. But if you start traveling at road speed, yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think this is a great feature. I love that you can just use it from your phone and you don't need any specialized equipment. I think Luigi's point about the fact that you can't or you shouldn't really upload it with mobile data is a huge one. So take it and then upload it when you get home.
Does depend on your plan. So mine rolls data over, and because we've had COVID for 8 months, well, I've got about 250 gig waiting for me. How about you, Falguni?
Well, Street View is not that famous here. It is still restricted. We cannot use it on public places or restricted areas. Yes, the shops are now using Street View to have a virtual tour of their stores and all. So it's good if we can use phone, and it will be much handy to sit at home and experience different places. And I hope the restrictions are reduced so we can capture more stuff.
Yeah, cool. Well, I suppose being a citizen rather than being Google, it could be a little bit different for who can use it and who can't. So perhaps if we move on to the next question, Luigi.
Hey, Paul, sorry, before we move on, I saw some people raise their hand. Do you want to take them now, or should we keep it until the end?
Oh, we always could now. If you want to call out.
So I saw some raised hand, Rosie and Najib. Do you have any question that you want to ask? Or
yes, hello.
Hello.
Good morning, guys. I'm saying good morning because it's morning here in North Africa.
Good morning. We are on the same time.
Yes, you're from Italy, I think. So
good
we are in
evening.
the same time zone. Good evening, Paul. So my question is, when will iOS users will have this new feature? Because I didn't have the chance to try it. So I check every day App Store to see if the app is released again for iOS users. So I still have the old version of StreetView. I'm looking forward to use the new version, but I'm not seeing it on App Store.
Yeah, I can't really answer from Google's perspective, but the only thing that comes to mind is iOS doesn't support AR Core. So there might be some other technology in the iPhone that would be able to do it. So I dare say we'll just have to wait and see what Google do with that.
Okay. So I think even Apple phones would be able to do that, but let's wait and see what will happen. I'm not ready to switch to any other system right now.
If it helps, they're actually both based on the same operating system. They're both Linux these days. But anyway, and there was another question, I think.
Rosie,
Yeah.
do you have any question?
Yeah. This when you are recording the Street View, do you need data to on internet and all? And while uploading for Dennis and all, when she's traveling and she's doing so much upload, so does the data goes with that?
If you upload the actual video, then it will consume a lot of data. You do need data coverage while it's doing the map because it has to draw the map and follow along with it. So it does need data on there, but it doesn't use very much at all. I haven't really noticed it making a difference in my plan. In Denise's case, I dare say she gets to places where there's Wi-Fi. You might want to answer that.
Thank you so much.
So I saw a few more people raise their hand. Let's go through these two and we can move on to the next part. And maybe at the end, when we have more time, we can answer that. Because I think we want to try to keep this moving. What do you think, Paul?
Go for it. Next slide, please.
All right. So, Stephen,
all right,
you're next.
Just quick one, Paul. We've been testing this. One of the main benefits for having everyone turn on Street View and capture Street View is to be able to do auto addition of a location in maps. So in that sense, a good thing to do would be to point the camera sideways as we travel. So
except you can't.
We can.
No.
Okay.
It's for forward facing only. And if you turn the camera to the side, you'll get a little prompt on the screen that says face forwards.
Right. So the camera should be directly forward, not at an angle at all. It should be directly forward, right?
Yeah. As near to 90 degrees as possible, yes.
All right.
It puts up with a little bit of variance in it. So you see it on my bike, it jiggles around a little bit. But we might talk about that a little bit more on question 3.
Now we switch to the second one, right?
That's right.
And this is a second question, ladies. So what is the likely impact on your local community? So who starts first? Denise?
Are you talking about like Street View in the local community?
Yes, that's right. So what would be what's the advantage of being able to map places that don't exist for you?
So the biggest thing that, as I was sort of kind of alluding to, was the off-roading. Because a lot of times when we want to, we're always wanting to take our Jeep onto like mountain roads and back roads, and we would like to be able to see what it looks like before we get there. So having a street view to be able to actually look at that would be fabulous. And that was, so there's a huge Jeeping community and off-roading community. And I look at that as sort of like my community for this. And that is, I think it would help them tremendously. And that goes back to the question we were talking about being without internet before. And this is also, this is a huge issue for us. So even now I'm on cell phone service trying to do doing this meeting.
Yeah, so as long as you've got some kind of coverage to be able to do the recording, but I wouldn't want to upload over cell phone generally.
Yeah, right. I'll have to figure that out when I got all this data.
Yep.
I hadn't gotten past the hot cell phone yet, so now I'm going to get past the hot cell phone.
Next, Falguni.
Okay, so as I said, we do not have Street View yet in India. I mean, it's only limited to some users. We cannot use it for roads and showing of public places. So I don't know when the restrictions are gone and we can finally use it. I'm just yet to experience it.
India is one of the countries it's rolling out in. So you'll be able to create your own street view. But I guess it does raise the interesting question, is because each of these images that it produces have your name on it, will Indians actually want to do it if it's a restricted thing? That's an interesting question.
No, I mean, there are some places like you can do it for a shop or some normal places like restaurants or something, but we cannot record a street view for the places, I mean, the roads that the updates we are talking about. We cannot do it for public places yet.
Yeah. Well, this will let you record roads and paths and things like that if you want to, but you'll have to work out whether that's something you're allowed to do, I guess.
Yes. We need to check out for permission or else we can be in trouble.
Yeah.
And Justine?
Yeah, so the place that I live, tourism is a huge part of our economy. And I think that this will really help us to map not just the standard tourist places, but things like local waterholes or tracks that people can go and hike. I think allowing people to use their phone to map these places will mean that a lot more places will be a lot more accessible, especially to tourists coming into our area.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because both the US and Australia has fairly rich representation in Street View, whereas a lot of countries don't. So we tend to think about niche things like the off-roading or going down walking trails, and I do bike paths and things like that. But in other countries, this will be a way to create the Street View they've never had. Yep. Next, please, Luigi.
Next.
Oh, sorry. I saw some raised hand. Maybe before we move on to the next part, we can just take a Pratik, I saw you raise hand and then lower a few times. Did you get your question answered, or do you have anything that you want to ask?
Yeah, basically I got the answer of my question. I don't remember the fellow guy, but she told yes. I think that some of the places doesn't, you cannot find the network, but you want to record the street view. So, that was the thing that can we record it and can we upload it later on?
You can definitely upload it.
It's not available in India.
Yeah, you can definitely upload it later on. What I'm not sure about is whether you can record it offline. So I'll actually give that a try because I've still got access to record, but I can't see it anymore. Bummer. But
Okay.
I'll try it offline and see what it does do. But you definitely upload the video later on.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and there's one more from Kasun Silva. Are you here?
Kasun,
you want to ask a question as I use my portrait mode to record the street view. My first pointed connected photos recording. But my question is whether we can use landscape orientation as well for this recording, and what is the most best way, best orientation to use for this one?
If you take the phone out of portrait and put it into landscape, the app actually prompts you to go back to portrait mode. So I think that's what Google prefers. It doesn't stop recording if you're in landscape, but just that it's prompting you would suggest to me that they want you to do it in portrait mode. I noticed Rosie mentioned that she'd actually done some. Did you want to talk about that?
I did yesterday. I did my first recording and just uploaded yesterday, and it is live now. Yeah, 3.2 miles and another 10.8 miles ready to be published, as you can see.
Well, it won't take you long to catch up with me. I've only got 123 kilometers.
I just completed like 130 kilometers, something like that. Yeah.
Sure. I think Rosie said she'd done some too.
No, my son he has also joined Local Guide, and yesterday night he showed me, but he didn't upload. On the road he did recording, nighttime, street recording. He was on the bike, his friend was driving, and he did recording because I told him about this feature. But with that, lot of traffic could be recorded with that. I don't know whether we can upload it or not. I told I will check and let him know.
Yep. I haven't seen any specific guide to the phone version of StreetView, but I know that the StreetView trusted professionals are asked to only do it during the day. So that may apply to this as well. I'll actually ask and I'll find out. I'll put the answer into the Connect post whether we should do nighttime or not. Cool.
Yeah. Next question.
He does not post on Connect post yet. Only he's putting in his reviews and all photos and on his Instagram. He's not posted anything on Connect yet.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. I think middle must be Ivan. I think Ivan's going to ask this question.
Yes. So next question would be, how do you think this might impact places with no street view or even no maps? So let's go through our panelists one by one. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. This is actually the area that I'm interested in. This is exactly what I'm talking about. We go to places that has no street view and doesn't have a map, because these are the roads that haven't been added yet. So back where we go 4x4ing and off-roading, and that's why I really want to do the contribution to help both us, and others in the future.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's definitely going to make the world more accessible for people. I know that being able to see a place as well might help you to negotiate what that might look like, or what that might be like before you go. So yeah, I think it will just help to make places a lot more accessible for people.
Definitely. And Falguni?
So places like India, as we do not have street view, and even we have some areas where we do not have proper maps, especially the rural side. So it is really important if we get this feature very soon, and we are eagerly waiting for street view, because we have very small lanes and everything looks similar sometimes, and we tend to get lost in those areas. So if we have some landmarks or some proper view of that place, so we know where we are going.
Yeah, definitely. And I tend to think, because Google will be using this to find new businesses, lots of places where there's little tiny businesses that are down little laneways and hiding in places that people don't normally go, and the street view cars probably can't go.
Exactly. Indian roads and Indian places are very narrow, and we have very small lanes, and there are multiple shops inside those lanes, and it's difficult, and no one can imagine we have such places inside. If we have that, it will be easy to discover them.
Yeah. And from my own perspective, I've been playing with Roadmapper, which I know some people have. It is public. We're allowed to talk about it. I did see that look. Roadmappers certainly give me the indication that if you look at a country like Nigeria, for example, it's less than 1% of the roads in that country are actually mapped. So when this rolls out to a place like that, and similarly with some parts of India, those people can actually start literally putting their own places on the map, because Google will use it to make roads and find their businesses. So it's going to be quite a game changer for the world, I think. I think this is probably one of the biggest changes that we've seen in maps in recent years.
Yes, and it is much required change, because we have dynamic roads coming up. We have new roads coming up. I don't know, from nowhere they built out a road overnight. So it's really difficult.
Yep. Cool. What about you, Ivan? What do you think it'll do in the Bay Area?
The expanding road in India, the expanding road, they are telling people to shift a little at the expanding road to help the vehicles move freely.
You're making new ones everywhere.
No, and they are expanding the existing one, and they are building bridges over them to distribute the traffic. So I don't know. It's difficult to map those bridges as well at times, because sometimes it doesn't get accepted very soon. So I don't know how to do that. I'm just working on that.
Yep. Cool.
Paul, I just wanted to add one more point in terms of the impact, especially now with the COVID situation, pandemic, and a lot of homestays are preferred as compared to hotels and even hostels. So some new homestays that are coming up, I think if people are going to map the road till that place, it will be very helpful for the owners, homeowners, as well as I think the travelers, because that's going to be a preferred mode of vacationing.
Yeah, thanks, Vandana. That's actually a fairly important point. Vandana's a leading solo traveller, if you haven't met her. It's the Bay Area's turn, Ivan.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like this feature would be a lot more, I wouldn't say better, but more beneficial in remote places, right? Like in the Bay Area, it's pretty much covered almost everywhere. Like personally for me, when I'm trying to contribute, it's really hard for me to find things that are not yet established, right? Compared to if I go back to Indonesia, when I go around, there's a lot of things that can be contributed to maps. But I'm pretty sure, there might be ways.
Yeah, I guess it's an interesting thing, because in the initial guidance when we first got it, they said to not do it where there's existing blue lines, but they've changed that now, and they actually want you to do it where there's already got blue lines. So you could probably walk down the sidewalk down in the Mission and help some of those businesses that do seem to change a lot
Absolutely.
get found.
So I don't see anyone. Oh, there's one. Sonia, you raise your hand.
Thank you, Ivan. I was waiting for my turn. So, it's not a very urgent question, actually. It's more of a query. It's regarding the apartment complex where I live. It's a huge complex. It's like about 12 buildings inside. And whenever I call an Uber or Lyft or whatever, they never get to my building. So I have to literally walk a long way to take Uber. So my question is, since there is no street view inside this complex, is it okay for us to do it, or there is a privacy issue or something? Can we add the street view of the inside of the complex to the maps?
The app needs to be able to see the GPS moving. So unless you've got inside GPS, it probably won't work inside the building itself, but in and around the driveways and the paths around the outside of the buildings, you should be able to do that. Because as an individual, and I know where you are, and as an individual there, you can do public photography. You're allowed to. So that does actually raise a good point, because I know in some countries, Germany is one I'm thinking of in particular, you're actually not allowed to do photography of public places, which is a bit at odds with the way Local Guides works. It doesn't seem to stop people, and I suspect it's more aimed at organised ventures, but whether Google will let you contribute Street View in a country like that, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Thank you.
One more from our superstar, Hermes. You raise your hand.
Hey, Hermes.
Yes. Hi, Paul, and everyone. Thank you very much for this session. And yes, my question, let's say that is a question right now, because I'm very curious about this, is that we can also try to map, existing road where there is already a street view. And in my feeling, what is interesting is the feedback that I have on the app is the number of places that has been photographed. Shops, or apart 2 cats that my street view give a feedback that I get 2 cats in the photo. But what is interesting for me is the fact that we can also, in this way, give a confirmation to Google Maps about the existing places, shopping, and so on. So you can also capture, if you don't have, you say, new area to capture in where you live, you can, in any case, update Google Maps, giving new information about the sign, the new shop, the name of the shops, and everything like this. This is my feeling, at least looking at the feedback. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think so, Hermes. I think it's going to let us give a lot of new information to the map. Probably one thing that's a downside for people like you and I. So Hermes and I, we like looking through people's profiles, and we find people that have contributed 10,000 images of one building half a meter apart. And guess what this feature does? So I think, yes, it will help Google to find new places and places that have changed and places that have gone. And that is one of the intentions that the Street View team has revealed about this. It is for data gathering to improve maps itself, but it also provides the visual for us. And I think it's a bit like Local Guides itself. It's a good way to work with the community. It has come at an interesting time, because Street View and Local Guides, I don't know if you're familiar with it, have separated to some extent, but they do still talk to each other. And the last guidance I had was that this feature was open to Local Guides level 6 and above, not necessarily the Street View trusted photographer people. So we'll have to see how that changes in the coming weeks and months as they sort things out. It'll be interesting. One thing I might add with this is this has become my socks moment. So Penny will find this funny, because I had access to create video, and I actually still do. I can still create it, but I used to be able to see it on the map, and now I can't, because it hasn't rolled out in Australia. So my 120 something kilometers of this has just gone, poof, gone. I'm told it'll come back.
Okay.
Are there any other questions on the stream?
No raised hands. I do see a lot of questions on the chat. I try to keep track. I failed. So we can try to we can try to get them at the end of the session. And if we can go through them all, I'm pretty sure Paul won't mind to discuss this with you, right? I'm putting you on the spot here, Paul.
Oh, I think that's fine. We've only got 5 minutes left in the session, so perhaps if we just skip to the question time, and we won't do the tips this time. So if anybody wants the photography tips, my YouTube channel does have a whole list of things which are aimed specifically at Local Guides. So I do not monetize my channel, just for the record, because I did have someone tell me I was making money out of Local Guides, and I don't monetize it. So I don't actually have enough followers to monetize it, so I couldn't even if I wanted to. But there's a lot of photo tips there. So what we might do is start going through people's questions, because I have seen quite a few pop up in the chat. So if anybody would like to raise their hand and ask a question now we can go for it. And it doesn't have to be just the Street View content. You can ask other questions as well about photography.
I can read some of what I wrote.
Sure.
I don't know if it's been answered before, but so Chamoth asked, how can we know what are the phones with AR core?
Okay, there's actually a great big list of phones with AR core, and you need ones that support AR core version 2. So if I'll put a list in, or not the list itself, but I'll put the link to the list into the Connect post. But if you just Google what phones support AR Core 2, you'll come up with a great big list. Before you buy a phone, make sure you check and see if it actually is compatible, because I did see one person bought a particular model that looked like it should be, but it's not.
Yeah, that's the only one that I caught. I think the rest have been answered. So if anyone that's still on the call right now, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
We've just had one from Chamud who's asking, how do we get permission from the storekeepers to add their photos? Generally speaking, I have to say I don't bring it up. I just do it. And because you're, as a local guide, you're normally shooting with a phone or a small camera, normally no one worries about it. There are some places I have actually been escorted from a shopping mall where they did not take too kindly to me creating images inside the shopping mall. So in a big place like that, you probably do want to ask permission. I know a Melbourne local guide who does a lot of 360 photography for shopping centres, and he finds getting permissions actually fairly easy. You just go down to the centre management and have a chat with them. For individual small stores, if you were just to approach the owner, most people are going to be relatively happy for you to promote their business on maps, because they're basically getting free advertising. And if you put it in those terms, make sure that you don't say that you work for Google, because that becomes problematic if people think that you work for Google. You need to say that you're a local guide and you're a volunteer.
And we have,
yeah, that actually happens to me before when I was taking photos in the mall. Most likely they were just curious, right? But it's still like a cautionary, like when you're trying to do this. What I do is just open up my map, open up my contribution, and then just show them this is what I'm doing, and then most of the time they understand. So
yep, very good advice. I did see a question from someone, if I'm not using my phone to take Street View, what do I use? Well, I've got two approaches. For the ones that I'm not that worried about the quality, I use a Theta V for the 360 images. And if I'm doing ones where I'm particularly concerned about the quality, I use my Olympus camera with a wide angle lens and take several shots and blend them together.
And we have a question from Morten as well, Paul. He says that in his Street View app, he doesn't see the feature yet. So he's asking where we can find an overview about the rollout, because most probably the feature is not yet deployed in his country.
I can answer that in the way that I answer so many questions on Connect. It's Google. When I know, you'll know too, because they'll tell us. We don't have any secret.
He's smiling, I see his camera. So.
Yep. We're actually just about at the end of our session time, actually. So I'd love to thank everybody for coming along, and particular thanks to Ivan and Luigi and Denise and Falguni and, of course, Justine for helping out. Really happy to have you guys along, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves. And your next session, if I'm not wrong, is, I should look at the correct day, Local Guides Clean the Map with Jan, I think.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, and see you to the next sessions. We see you in those sessions.
Thank you.
So, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day. It was an amazing.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. See you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.